I got loyalty, got royalty inside my DNA. I got love, peace, got war and peace inside my DNA. I got power, poison, pain, and joy inside my DNA.
Hello and welcome back to my channel, Fanfic Fantasy. Join us as we delve into the realms of fanfiction and fantasy, bringing you the best stories and discussions. Today, we're kicking off the 5th part of our series, What If a Player Was in JJK with Level Up System? If you enjoy this video, please give it a like and subscribe for more content in the future. The author of this story is Deck302005. From Wattpad, all the relevant links are in the description. Feel free to say hello to the author on their profile. Now, let's dive into the fanfic. Kenzo studied the rewards displayed on the quest completion screen, his eyes narrowing slightly as he focused on the enigmatic artifact listed as the Black Heart. The description hinted at its mystical nature, pulsating with otherworldly energy and purportedly holding the essence of death itself. Curiosity danced in Kenzo's eyes as he pondered the significance of such a rare and potent item. The very idea of an artifact with ties to the essence of death stirred his imagination, prompting questions about its origins, properties, and potential applications in the world of sorcery. Beside the enigmatic Ashborn Heart, the quest rewards continued to unfold. The title "The Strongest Student of Satoru Gojo" stood out, a prestigious acknowledgement of Kenzo's prowess and connection to his revered teacher. It was a symbol of recognition that carried weight within the sorcerer community. Additional rewards included potions crafted for swift recovery, health potions to mend wounds, and mana potions to replenish magical energy. Practical tools that spoke to the challenges faced in the quest and the toll exacted by the intense battle. The final reward, gain Gojo's favor, held a special place in Kenzo's contemplation. A token of acknowledgement from Gojo himself, it hinted at potential opportunities and the deepening of the bond between mentor and student. As Kenzo processed the significance of the rewards, he couldn't help but wonder about the journey ahead and the mysteries concealed within the Ashborn Heart, a quest that extended beyond the physical battles and into the realms of understanding in connection with his revered teacher, Satoru Gojo. Title: The Strongest Student of Satoru Gojo. Buff: Sorceress Mastery 1. Enhanced Arcane Perception. Effect: Improved ability to sense and discern magical energies. Benefits: plus 80% accuracy in identifying curses and magical phenomena. Enhanced awareness of magical traps and illusions. 2. Mana Resonance. Effect: Greater harmony between the user's mana and the surrounding environment. Benefits: plus 140% reduction in mana consumption for spellcasting, plus 120% bonus to manipulating external mana for strategic advantages. 3. Versatility Boost. Effect: Increased adaptability and versatility in sorceress techniques. Benefits: Unlock additional spells and abilities based on the user's intuition and experience, plus 120% effectiveness when employing a wide range of sorceress skills. 4. Bond of Mentorship. Effect: Forge a unique bond with Satoru Gojo, gaining access to mentorship benefits. Benefits: Once per day, invoke Gojo's wisdom for strategic insight during critical decision-making. In dire situations, tap into the bond to temporarily boost strength, resilience, or insight. Activation: Automatically activates upon the user HP reaching below 30%. Passives: Enhanced Arcane Perception, Passive. Mana Resonance, Passive. Versatility Boost, Passive. Bond of Mentorship, once per day, temporary boost. Kenzo's eyes widened with excitement as he gazed upon the detailed description of the buffs granted by his new title, The Strongest Student of Satoru Gojo. The screen displayed the intricacies of the sorceress mastery, each line igniting a spark of anticipation within him. A grin spread across Kenzo's face, revealing his elation at the newfound enhancements awaiting him on his sorceress journey. He couldn't help but envision the practical applications of the buffs in future battles, strategizing how each benefit would contribute to his growth as a sorcerer. As Kenzo marveled at the buffs bestowed by his newly acquired title, a radiant happiness played across his face. The excitement and satisfaction were palpable in his words as he muttered, "It was worth it. So worth it." The prospect of becoming stronger, more versatile, and forging an even deeper connection with his sensei fueled his elation. He couldn't help but reflect on the sheer potency of the buffs. The enhanced arcane perception, mana resonance, versatility boost, and the unique bond of mentorship, all of them contributed to a significant augmentation of his sorceress prowess. It was a transformative moment, and the sheer potential held within those buffs was enough to stir strong emotions. Kenzo envisioned the tactical advantages each buff would offer in battles to come. The ability to spam his shadow soldiers, refine his domain expansion, and tap into Gojo's wisdom for strategic insights were enticing prospects. The very thought of becoming a more formidable sorcerer, even without the 6 eyes, filled him with determination. His mind buzzed with ideas, upgrading his domain expansion, refining his skills, and leveraging the newfound power to accelerate his growth. The title wasn't just a symbol, it was a catalyst for his ascent to greater heights in the world of sorcery. Yet, amidst his excitement, a flicker of recognition surfaced as he contemplated the next enigmatic reward, the Ashborn Heart. The name stirred something in the recesses of his memory, an elusive connection that piqued his curiosity. Kenzo couldn't shake the feeling that this artifact held secrets that might unfold in ways beyond his current understanding. Confirmation prompt, Ashborn Heart Acquisition. Warning: the Ashborn Heart is a rare and powerful artifact with unknown properties. By choosing to acquire it, you agree to accept any consequences associated with its usage. Do you wish to proceed? System notification, Ashborn Heart acquired. Kenzo's affirmative click on yes triggered a cascade of events. The virtual screen dissipated, and an ethereal sensation enveloped him. The ambient magical energy within the virtual realm surged, resonating with the acquisition of the Ashborn Heart. As he placed his hand on his chest, a subtle yet profound change manifested within Kenzo. It wasn't a physical alteration, but rather a resonance with the essence of the artifact. The Ashborn Heart, now a part of him, seemed to integrate seamlessly, its mystical properties interfacing with Kenzo's innate sorceress energies. The feeling was akin to unlocking a dormant potential, a surge of otherworldly power coursing through his being. Kenzo could sense a newfound depth within himself, an uncharted territory that held the essence of death, the very core of the Ashborn Heart. System notification, Dungeon, Monarch Succession. As the announcement of the new dungeon, Monarch Succession, echoed in the virtual interface, Kenzo couldn't help but feel a twinge of excitement. The name alone hinted at challenges and mysteries entwined with the grandeur of sorceress power. System notification, Dungeon Risk Assessment, Monarch Succession. Kenzo's eyes scanned the virtual interface, seeking more information about the newly unlocked dungeon. As he accessed the details, a stark revelation greeted him. Dungeon name, Monarch Succession. Risk level, scarily high. Dungeon rating, SS+. The gravity of the situation sank in. The dungeon, with its daunting risk level and the prestigious SS+ rating, hinted at challenges that transcended the ordinary. It was a domain of trials and tribulations where only the most formidable could hope to succeed. Kenzo's eyes lingered on the ominous details of the Monarch Succession dungeon, its scarily high risk level and the prestigious SS+ rating. A furrow formed on his brow as he contemplated the possible reasons behind the unparalleled difficulty. What makes this dungeon so challenging? Kenzo muttered to himself, his thoughts racing through the potential factors contributing to its intimidating rating. He pondered the notion that the Monarch Succession might be designed to test not only one's magical prowess, but also strategic thinking and adaptability. The very name suggested a connection to the concept of monarchs and rulers, hinting at a trial that transcended mere combat. Is it a test of leadership, perhaps? Kenzo wondered aloud, considering the possibility that the challenges within might demand not just raw power, but also the ability to command and make crucial decisions. Another theory crossed his mind. The dungeon might be infused with a complex array of curses, each more potent than the last. The very essence of the Monarch Succession might be a crucible for overcoming curses and honing one's resistance. Kenzo's perceptive eyes caught a crucial detail that he had initially overlooked: the imminent teleportation into the Monarch Succession dungeon by the next day. The realization added a layer of urgency to his decision, intensifying the gravity of the situation. So, no time to waste, Kenzo mused, realizing that he wouldn't have the luxury of extensive preparation. The immediacy of the teleportation suggested that the challenges within were time-sensitive or required a swift response. His mind whirred with questions. How strong are the enemies in that dungeon? What awaits me beyond its gates? Kenzo mulled over the possibilities, considering the diverse range of adversaries that could be lurking within the SS+ rated domain. Kenzo, aware of the urgency to inform Gojo and Maki about his impending journey into the Monarch Succession dungeon, expanded his sensory awareness. The sensation of stretching his perception beyond its usual limits was a revelation, and he marveled at the increased range. I can feel it, so much broader now, Kenzo whispered to himself, a newfound sense of spatial awareness tingling through his senses. With his heightened capabilities, locating Gojo, the sorcerer with the most potent curse energy output, became a straightforward task. Maki's distinctive curse energy, though minimal, held a unique resonance that Kenzo recognized well. His expanded perception allowed him to pinpoint her location effortlessly. Found her, Kenzo said with a determined grin. Without hesitation, he harnessed his teleportation skill, and in an instant, he materialized right in front of Maki. The sudden appearance drew her attention, and she regarded Kenzo with a mixture of curiosity and surprise. "Yao Maki, how you doing?" Kenzo said with a nonchalant attitude placed on his face. Kenzo's sudden appearance had startled Maki, but as she recognized him and understood the reason for his visit, her guard gradually relaxed. When Kenzo greeted her with a nonchalant attitude, Maki responded with a playful eye roll. "Kenzo, you could have just sent a message or something. Teleporting in like that is unnecessary," Maki remarked, her tone a mix of amusement and mild reproach. Despite her words, there was a subtle smile on her face, indicating that she wasn't genuinely upset. Kenzo chuckled in response. "Where's the fun in that? Plus, I wanted to see your stunned expression. It's priceless," he teased, a mischievous glint in his eyes. Maki crossed her arms, feigning annoyance. "Well, mission accomplished, I guess, but why are you here?" Kenzo feigned innocence, adopting an exaggerated expression of surprise. "Oh, you can read minds now. That's a new skill," he quipped, attempting to divert attention from any lingering thoughts. Maki rolled her eyes, seeing through Kenzo's attempt at misdirection. "Nice try, but I've known you long enough to pick up on those little cues. So spill, what's on your mind?" Maki listened thoughtfully as Kenzo explained the nature of the Monarch Succession dungeon, its higher risk, and the likelihood of encountering formidable opponents, possibly surpassing even the special grade level. "How is that different from normal dungeons?" Maki inquired, her expression reflecting a genuine curiosity about the intricacies of this particular dungeon. Kenzo pondered for a moment before responding. "It's not just about the strength of the monsters but the overall difficulty. The Monarch Succession is on a whole other level. Everything in there is expected to be top tier, way beyond the usual challenges." Maki absorbed the information, a contemplative look on her face. "Just beat them all to a pulp," she declared confidently. A small smile graced Kenzo's lips as he responded, "Oh, trust me, I will." Maki's expression shifted, her confidence laced with a touch of concern. "Just come back, don't die," she said, the sincerity in her words evident. Kenzo met her gaze, his smile softening. "I'll be back in one piece, Maki. Take care of things here, and I'll catch you on the flip side." With those words, Kenzo activated his teleportation skill once again, ready to face the challenges that awaited him in the Monarch Succession dungeon. With Maki taking care of it, time to tell Satoru. Kenzo appeared in front of Gojo, who was in a rather peculiar sleeping position on the tip of the couch, eyes closed in what seemed to be deep rest. "Hey, sensei, wake up," Kenzo called out, a smirk playing on his lips as he observed Gojo's comical sleeping arrangement. Gojo stirred slightly, one eye cracking open as he peered at Kenzo. What is it, Kenzo?" he mumbled, clearly not fully awake. "I've got some news. Dungeon business. Monarch Succession. I'll be heading in tomorrow," Kenzo informed him, watching for Gojo's reaction. "Monarch Succession, huh?" Gojo mused, his tone maintaining that familiar carefree vibe. "Not your everyday dungeon choice. What's got you itching for a challenge like that?" Kenzo leaned casually against a nearby surface, meeting Gojo's gaze with a confident yet respectful demeanor. "High risk, high reward, sensei. And you know me, I'm always up for pushing my limits and adding some spice to life." "Truth, you better tell me how it was when you come back," Gojo said with a smile, the playfulness in his tone underscoring genuine interest. The sparkle in his eyes conveyed both curiosity and anticipation, as if he were already savoring the tales Kenzo would bring back from the challenging depths of the Monarch Succession dungeon. The nonchalant demeanor held steady, but there was a subtle warmth in Gojo's expression, emphasizing the camaraderie between sensei and student. Kenzo grinned, appreciating Gojo's enthusiasm for the impending stories. "Oh, you can count on it, sensei. I'll make sure they're tales to keep you entertained." As Kenzo prepared to teleport away, Gojo couldn't resist a mischievous tease. "Just make sure you don't get too scared down there, Kenzo. We wouldn't like you to get spooked." His tone carried a playful edge, and the glint in Gojo's eyes hinted at the teasing nature of his remark. The nonchalant smile on Gojo's face suggested that he was just adding a touch of banter to keep the atmosphere lighthearted. "I don't think they can throw anything at me to scare me," Kenzo said confidently, looking back at his sensei. "Aren't you confident?" Gojo added with a grin. Kenzo shrugged, offering a cheeky response, "Learned it from ya, sensei." Their banter continued, showcasing the playful dynamic between the student and his laid-back, yet charismatic, teacher. "Do make sure to come back before Halloween. We wouldn't want to miss out, Gojo said with a mischievous grin, adding a playful touch to his words. The mention of Halloween only fueled the sense of lighthearted banter between them, emphasizing Gojo's knack for injecting humor into even the most serious topics. I can try to speed up the process, but why do you want me to come back again? Kenzo asked, genuinely curious. Gojo grinned mischievously, his playful tone evident as he replied, "You wouldn't want to leave your girlfriend alone for the holiday now, would you?" The teasing remark showcased Gojo's ability to turn any situation into a light-hearted moment, adding a touch of humor to the conversation. "You should have realized that I would find out eventually. You can't hide it from me anymore," Gojo said with a wide smile on his face. The playful tone in his words suggested that he might have uncovered a secret or piece of information about Kenzo, adding an air of intrigue to their banter. "I knew it would happen eventually," Kenzo said nonchalantly. "So, what y'all have planned for Halloween? Are you going to give her some treats before y'all do some tricks?" Gojo said with a teasing expression on his face. "Really, Satoru? Really?" Kenzo replied with a bored expression, the exchange showcasing the typical banter between the student and his playful sensei. Gojo's teasing continued, keeping the atmosphere light as they discussed plans for the upcoming holiday. "Come on, tell me more. I am curious," Gojo said with a smile on his face, his eyes glinting with genuine interest. The playful anticipation in his expression suggested that he was ready to enjoy the details of Kenzo's plans, perhaps hoping for some entertaining anecdotes or surprises. Kenzo rolled his eyes, recognizing Gojo's insatiable curiosity. "There's nothing much to spill, sensei. Just a regular Halloween night, maybe a movie, some snacks, and whatever else Maki has in mind." Gojo's grin widened, and he nudged Kenzo playfully. "Ah, the simple pleasures. Well, make sure it's memorable. Halloween only comes once a year, you know." "Ah, would you look at that? A man that is scared of women trying to give me love advice," Kenzo said, raising an eyebrow as he looked at Gojo. The playful jab highlighted the humorous dynamic between the two, with Kenzo not missing a chance to poke fun at his sensei's eccentricities. Gojo chuckled, unfazed by Kenzo's remark. "Scared of women? Nah, my friend, I just prefer to be alone. It's quite comfy." Kenzo sighed before just teleporting away. There was no winning with this man, but before he was fully gone he heard Gojo say, "I would like some sweet snack." Kenzo appeared back where the Goodwill event had happened. He walked around a bit with a hand in his pocket before he reached a very familiar spot. This was where he had killed Hanami, the special grade curse that was known to be tanky and probably has a curse technique along with a domain expansion. That would be a nice little addition into his arsenal. He wouldn't have to expand his own domain, his minion could do it for him. He might need to capture more curses with domain expansion. He will just fight the opponent while the full focus of the curse is on strengthening the domain or to not lose a domain clash. That would be their only person as he pummeled the opponent with his overwhelming might. This might have seemed like a bad idea, but it was the idea that he was going with and no one would stop him. "Arise," Kenzo said where he had killed Hanami. From the floor the figure of what seemed to be the shadow version of Hanami was seen emerging out of the shadow. Kenzo looked at the notification and was stunned by it for a few seconds. So because he was so overwhelmingly above Hanami that due to the simple fact that Hanami joined his forces, Hanami was now way stronger than before. He wanted to see by how much did the curse increase though. Name, Hanami. Level, 68, greater than 80. Fatigue, full. Job, N.A. Titles, special grade curse. HP, 15,750, greater than 18,375. C, 100,000. CT, disaster plants. Strength, 125, greater than 130. Vitality, 150, greater than 175. Agility, 100, greater than 110. Intelligence, 90, greater than 100. Sense, 90, greater than 100. Oh, nice, those were some good buff. He could be used as a good meat shield. She may not be as durable as Kenzo, but at least he could serve his purpose as a tank quite nicely. Kenzo feel like he would need a tank. He didn't feel like removing Malgrim from Maki's shadow, so he would go in without one of his strong soldier. So that leave him with Igris, Choso. He was not counting the brothers as they were not that good. And the newly acquired Hanami. Those were his heavy hitters. They were some grade 1 curses here and there along with some decently strong monster and special grades, but the difference between them and Igris was like night and day. Let's look at Igris stats for example. Name, Igris. Level, 100. Fatigue, full. Job, Knight Commander. Titles, the right-hand man of the Shadow Monarch, Red Knight. HP, 16,800. Mana 17,850, Strength 200, Vitality 160, Agility 150, Intelligence 170, Sense 180. That was base Igris ... his base stats, and compare that to Hanami, and the difference become night and day. And sure, I know that stats is not everything, but let's look through his skills. Shadow Slash. Description: Igris executes a swift and precise slash with his shadowy claws, dealing substantial physical damage to a single target. Dark Pounce. Description: Igris lunges at his target with incredible speed, closing the distance rapidly. Upon impact, this skill inflicts both physical and shadow damage to the target. Spectral Armor. Description: Igris envelops himself in a spectral armor, granting increased defense and resistance against magical attacks for a limited duration. Shadow Step. Description: allows Igris to move swiftly between shadows, enabling quick repositioning on the battlefield. This skill is particularly effective for ambushing or evading enemies. Dominion of Shadows. Description: Igris taps into the power of the shadows, creating an area of darkness that hinders enemy vision. Enemies within the Dominion experience reduced accuracy and movement speed, giving Igris a tactical advantage. Oh, by the way, that excluding the buff that I already give him. Sure, the reason that he may have access to those shadow-related skill may because of his title as my right hand, but still. Strong-ass soldier. He is the one that I train with on a daily basis when I am not going out there destroying literally mountains and changing the map fighting Gojo. Then there was Choso. He may not be as strong as Igris ... To be fair, he was nowhere near as strong as Igris, but what he lacked in power he make up for it in versatility. His stats may seem underwhelming. Yuji can 2-tap him with black flashes. Yuji is not weak by any mean, but if someone that below special grade can do that to you, then. Anyway, his poisonous blood along with his huge control over his blood was amazing. I think he can now over the fight slowly mix his blood with his opponent blood and take control of the opponent from the inside when his blood become the majority. That however was a WIP. Kenzo touched his hair before going back to his house, where he started to ponder a bit on his thoughts. What was so dangerous about this dungeon to make its rating go so high? As Kenzo delves into his contemplations, he raises his eyes to find Maki, a steadfast force in his life, a personification of strength and determination standing beside him. Her gaze intent, she asks Kenzo, "When's exactly are you going inside this dungeon exactly?" The systems say tomorrow ... It didn't really specify a time or date, Kenzo said, raising his head to meet her gaze. So ... You will be here all night, Maki added, to which Kenzo nodded. Kenzo, in a nonchalant manner, looks at Maki and adds, "Considering I'll probably be gone until Halloween, what do you say about a second date?" There's a peculiar pause in his sentence, an unspoken sentiment lingering in the air. It's as if he feels the need to solidify something important before his impending departure. He felt like he was getting closer to death itself. Maki, catching the nuance in Kenzo's words, meets his gaze with a soft smile. "A second date sounds great," she replies, her tone carrying a warmth that transcends the casual exchange. Kenzo and Maki's second date kicks off with a visit to the local cinema. It's a charming evening, with the air filled with a sense of anticipation. The cinematic glow of the lobby surrounds them as they select tickets, Kenzo subtly intrigued by the fact that this is Maki's very first time watching a movie. The dimmed lights of the theater usher them into a world of storytelling and visual spectacle. As the movie unfolds on the big screen, Kenzo steals glances at Maki, observing the genuine wonder and occasional surprise that flickers across her face. Her expressions, a delightful mix of curiosity and amusement, captivate him. There's an endearing innocence in the way she reacts to the unfolding narrative, making every moment a shared experience. In a moment of playful teasing, Kenzo nudges Maki during a particularly intense scene, earning himself a playful punch. After the movie, Kenzo and Maki venture into a quaint restaurant, its warm ambience creating an intimate setting for the next phase of their date. The aroma of various cuisines fills the air as they share a meal, engaging in easy conversation and laughter. The moments between bites become an opportunity for them to learn more about each other, exchanging stories and quirks that deepen their connection. The night sky, adorned with stars, beckons them for a post-dinner stroll. They meander through a nearby park, the soft crunch of leaves beneath their feet providing a serene soundtrack to their conversation. The topics range from the profound to the lighthearted, and with each step, Kenzo feels a growing sense of fondness for Maki's company. As they find a quiet bench beneath a sprawling tree, Kenzo takes a moment to express his gratitude for the evening. Maki, in her straightforward way, reciprocates, acknowledging the unique joy she found in the new experiences of the night. The date concludes with a shared dessert, a sweet note to end the evening. A simple yet significant gesture, it marks the culmination of a night filled with laughter, shared firsts, and the blossoming of a connection that transcends the ordinary. They find themselves entangled on the bed, a tangle of limbs and shared longing. The soft music serves as a backdrop to their escalating intimacy, the rhythm syncing with the beats of their hearts. The room becomes a sanctuary for exploration, where caresses and kisses speak louder than any words. Gone is the need for coded gestures, desire is written in every touch. Kenzo's hands trace the contours of Maki's body, and the hunger in their eyes reveals a mutual craving. The night unfolds in a crescendo of passion, with the room bearing witness to the unbridled connection between them. As the night progresses, the boundaries between them dissolve completely, leaving only the raw, unfiltered intensity of their shared desire. Kenzo's room transforms into a haven where they lay bare the depths of their connection, embracing the undeniable chemistry that draws them together in this intimate moment. The morning sunlight gently filters through the curtains, casting a warm glow across Kenzo's room. As Kenzo stirs awake, the remnants of the passionate night linger in the air, a hazy memory of shared intimacy. The room, now bathed in daylight, seems to carry the secrets of the previous night, a silent witness to the unspoken connection that unfolded between him and Maki. Kenzo stretches, the sheets clinging to him as he recalls the vivid moments. The disheveled state of the room mirrors the intensity of their shared experience. As he glances around, the scattered remnants of their closeness, clothing was that his shoes on the floor. Kenzo slowly walks out of the bed before going to the bathroom. He might as well take a shower before he get teleported. As he looked at the mirror, a very familiar sight appeared in front of him. Ignoring all the kiss mark along his neck, there seemed to be some Ike on his neck, and it seemed like someone had dug their nail deep within his back, as those marking didn't lie. Fun fact, his agility stats controlled a lot more than he had originally thought. His dexterity being one of them, as for his stamina that was taken into account by his vitality. Long story short, some serious forces must have been imposed on his back if it lead to some marking like that. He better heal it before it get too late. He doesn't really remember if he had a regeneration skill, but if he didn't, he would just cover the marks until he level up or something, then it will just automatically heal on its own. Kenzo steps into the bathroom, the cool tiles beneath his feet providing a contrasting sensation to the warmth that envelops him. He adjusts the water temperature, allowing it to reach a soothing heat before stepping into the cascading flow of water. The sound of running water fills the space, creating a tranquil atmosphere. Droplets slide down his skin as he stands beneath the shower head, the sensation serving as a gentle awakening. The steam begins to dance in the air, creating a veil that shrouds him in a private sanctuary. As Kenzo lathers up with soap, the fragrance of the shower gel mingles with the steam, creating a sensory symphony. The suds cascade down his body, carrying away the traces of the night's passion. He takes his time, each movement deliberate, as if washing away more than just the physical remnants. The warm water courses over his skin, soothing both body and mind. With eyes closed, Kenzo immerses himself in the moment, allowing the sensation of the water to wash away the residual tension from the previous night. The bathroom becomes a refuge, a space where the complexities of the virtual world momentarily fade, leaving only the simple act of cleansing. After what feels like both an eternity and a fleeting moment, Kenzo steps out of the shower, the bathroom now filled with the lingering warmth. Wrapped in a towel, he gazes into the mirror, the reflection revealing a sense of renewal. The marks on his back, though still present, seem less pronounced, as if the water has played its part in the healing process. Leaving the refreshing embrace of the bathroom, Kenzo walks back into his room, the warm steam trailing behind him. He glances at the array of clothes neatly arranged on a chair, a silent invitation to embrace the day. Choosing a set of clothes, Kenzo takes his time getting dressed. The fabric slides over his skin, a tactile reminder of the tangible world within the virtual one. The act of clothing himself becomes a deliberate ritual, each button and zip a small, grounding detail in the midst of the game's complexities. As he slips into a pair of comfortable jeans and pulls a shirt over his shoulders, the room fills with the rustle of fabric. The clothes, chosen for both comfort and style, become an extension of his virtual identity. The attire, a subtle expression of his personality, provides a sense of normalcy in a world defined by the extraordinary. Completing his look, Kenzo takes a moment to run his fingers through his damp hair. The mirror reflects a composed figure, the morning's activities, and the anticipation of the day ahead etched in his expression. Kenzo, after dressing, approaches the peacefully sleeping figure of Maki. A tender smile graces his lips as he leans down, placing a gentle kiss on her cheek. The gesture is a silent farewell, a moment of connection before the impending separation dictated by the game. As his lips leave her cheek, Kenzo steps back, watching as Maki stirs awake. Her eyes slowly open, and Kenzo, locked in a gaze with her, offers a reassuring smile. Before any words can be exchanged, the digital forces governing the game abruptly whisk him away. The world around Kenzo dissolves, replaced by the eerie glow of the dungeon's entrance. The sudden teleportation is jarring, and as his surroundings come into focus, Kenzo finds himself standing at the threshold of the foreboding dungeon. As Kenzo continued his relentless assault on the swarming monsters, the strange feeling in his chest grew more pronounced. It was an unfamiliar sensation, like a subtle vibration resonating through his body. Ignoring it for the time being, he focused on the task at hand, seamlessly blending his incredible speed with the assistance of his shadow soldiers. Igris and Choso, the shadow soldiers, followed Kenzo's lead with precision, slashing through the monsters with deadly efficiency. Hanami, the tank, held the front line, absorbing blows and providing Kenzo with the necessary space to execute his lightning-fast attacks. Despite the overwhelming numbers of monsters, Kenzo's skills seemed unmatched. His every movement was a dance of death, and the monsters fell like leaves in a storm. However, the strange sensation in his chest persisted, growing more mysterious and concerning. As Kenzo fought on, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. The monsters, though relentless, seemed almost mindless in their pursuit. It was as if they were driven by an external force rather than their own instincts. Kenzo began to wonder if there was a greater power at play, orchestrating this onslaught. Time skip. Kenzo, having gained a few levels from the relentless slaughter of creatures in the dungeon, decided it was time to take a well-deserved rest. However, his heightened senses, honed by battle, suddenly screamed at him to move. Without hesitation, he instinctively leaped away just as a wave of ice encased the spot where he had stood moments before. In midair, his senses alerted him again, prompting him to teleport to safety just in time to evade another unseen attack. As he materialized a few feet away, Kenzo surveyed the area, ready for whatever had assaulted him. To his surprise, he found himself face to face with two individuals. The first was a colossal and muscular man, his tan skin standing out against the ragged skirt adorned with a thick silver fur waistline. Glowing yellow eyes and wild black hair framed a face with sharp teeth. The man's imposing figure was further emphasized by the silver fur pelts and gold-trimmed white armor that adorned his right shoulder and groin area. Kenzo's battle-ready posture hinted at his readiness to face these new adversaries, as he awaited any signs of their intentions or the nature of the threat they posed. The encounter in the dungeon had taken an unexpected turn, and Kenzo's instincts were on high alert. As Kenzo observed the second figure, he encountered a muscular old elf with distinctive features. The elf's blue skin contrasted with his long silver hair, a single strand gracefully hanging over the right side of his face. His eyes were an eerie blank white, and his round ears denoted his elvish nature. Draped in a ragged white cloak with a black collar, he wore a tattered white shirt, ragged black pants, and a pair of sturdy black boots. There was an air of seasoned strength emanating from both of these formidable individuals. Despite their contrasting appearances, the sheer power they exuded was palpable, leaving Kenzo on high alert. The dungeon, it seemed, had more in store for him than just mindless monsters. As the tense silence lingered, Kenzo readied himself for the inevitable confrontation and the mysteries that awaited in the presence of these powerful beings. Kenzo's eyes narrowed as the man, who appeared more like a beast, spoke with a cocky attitude. The revelation that Kenzo carried the scent of the Shadow Monarch seemed to amuse him. So it is true that a mere human carries the scent of the Shadow Monarch. What a joke, the man declared. His transformation unfolded, and before Kenzo's eyes, he morphed into a formidable white wolf. The sheer power emanating from this creature was undeniable, and Kenzo braced himself for the unfolding situation. The air crackled with tension as the transformed man-wolf regarded Kenzo with a predatory gaze. The presence of the Shadow Monarch's scent seemed to hold a significance that Kenzo had yet to comprehend. Kenzo's attention shifted towards the source of the new voice, and he found himself confronted by a striking and otherworldly figure. The alluring yet ominous woman before him possessed an ethereal beauty that contrasted with her insectile hands and feet. Glowing red eyes peered out from beneath long flowing black hair, and dark purple lips adorned her pale skin. With a voice that carried a sinister undertone, she remarked, "A human, huh? Can I eat him?" Kenzo couldn't help but feel a shiver down his spine as he faced this enigmatic being. Her greenish-black armor left her upper cleavage and shoulders exposed, emphasizing both her beauty and the unsettling features that hinted at her otherworldly nature. Upon looking at those notifications, Kenzo knew that they were not allied but rather enemies, and they all seemed to be monarchs, meaning they were at bare fucking minimum strong as a special grade if not around or above his level. As he tried to use observed on them, he couldn't ... so he can't peek into their stats. Is that just great? As the tension in the air thickened, the three formidable adversaries unleashed their energies, their eyes fixated on Kenzo as their chosen target. The atmosphere crackled with impending conflict, and Kenzo, undeterred, met their gaze with determination. It was then that he uttered a command, his voice cutting through the charged silence. Come forth. From the depths of his shadow, Kenzo summoned his loyal shadow soldiers. Igris, Choso, and Hanami emerged, each heading toward their designated foe. Igris lunged at the Frost Monarch, Choso confronted the poison-tinged woman, and Hanami engaged with the beastly man. As Kenzo prepared to strategize and join the fray, the Frost Monarch, in a display of disdain, mocked him with a cutting remark. Isn't that pathetic? This is what the mighty Shadow Monarch has been reduced to, summoning a bunch of weaklings. The Frost Monarch's arrogance was palpable as he effortlessly froze over half of Kenzo's shadow army with a mere gesture. The once formidable soldiers were now trapped in icy confines, their effectiveness nullified. You absolutely disgrace me if you thought those small fry could handle me, the Frost Monarch sneered, disgust evident in his voice. Kenzo, now faced with a dwindling force, recognized the gravity of the situation. The battle had escalated, and the adversaries were proving to be more challenging than anticipated. As the clash unfolded, Kenzo braced himself for the formidable foes before him, determined to overcome the mockery and prove his strength as the Shadow Monarch. The woman's disdainful voice echoed as she observed the frozen remnants of Kenzo's shadow soldiers. He must have looked down on us to send such weak opponents toward us and think they stood a chance, she remarked, her gaze fixed on the icy display. Kenzo, undeterred by the setback, faced the Beast Monarch's taunt. Are you scared? The Beast Monarch jeered, studying Kenzo's expression. Without hesitation, Kenzo retorted, no, why should I be scared of soon-to-be dead things? You three would make a great addition to my army. The Beast Monarch responded with indignation, you arrogant prick. Kenzo, unyielding, replied, is it really arrogance if it's the truth? The Frost Monarch, not one to remain silent, chimed in with a threatening tone. Do you really think you'll come out of this alive? Kenzo, maintaining his cool demeanor, simply responded, nah, I am confident I will beat your ass. Winning is a guaranteed. The Frost Monarch's anger flared, and with a gesture, he summoned a legion of golems to assail Kenzo. The golems, massive and formidable, lumbered toward Kenzo with an icy determination. Each step they took echoed through the battlefield, a testament to the Frost Monarch's command over the frozen elements. Kenzo, undeterred by the show of power, assessed the situation with a calm demeanor. He knew the upcoming clash would require strategic prowess and quick thinking. As the golems closed in, Kenzo unleashed a swift series of movements, dodging and weaving through their colossal forms with a grace that belied his human appearance. The Frost Monarch, observing Kenzo's agile evasion, grew increasingly frustrated. You insolent fool, he spat, his voice carrying a venomous edge. The golems, relentless in their pursuit, attempted to corner Kenzo, but he continued to elude their attacks with calculated precision. Let me join in on the fun too, the Insect Monarch declared with a sinister delight. In an eerie display of her powers, she began controlling a horde of mind-controlled corpses, unleashing them upon Kenzo. The sheer number of these creatures made it a formidable challenge for him to navigate the battlefield. Kenzo, quick on his feet, immediately activated his focus skills. With a flurry of slashes and dashes, he skillfully maneuvered between the attacks of the Poison Monarch and the Frost Monarch. Reacting with precision, he ran up an ice golem, swiftly beheading it by targeting its beast core. His newfound strength, a buff acquired as Gojo's strongest student, allowed him to sense the vulnerable points of his enemies. As Kenzo soared through the air, his senses warned him of an imminent threat. The Beast Monarch had materialized behind him, poised to strike. Reacting in an instant, Kenzo teleported to a position behind the Beast Monarch and unleashed a powerful mana orb into its back. The impact sent the Beast Monarch hurtling through the air. However, before Kenzo could assess the aftermath of his strike, a barrage of snow and ice attacked him from all directions. The battlefield had become a chaotic maelstrom of elements and adversaries, and Kenzo found himself at the center of this storm, battling for survival against the combined forces of the frost, poison, and insect monarchs. Amidst the chaos of the battlefield, Kenzo found himself surrounded by the relentless assault of the three monarchs. The insect monarch continued to command her horde of mind-controlled corpses, the frost monarch conjured golems from the icy depths, and the poison monarch unleashed venomous attacks. Kenzo, displaying incredible agility and combat prowess, danced through the onslaught. His movements were a symphony of slashes, teleports, and counters, a testament to his skill as Gojo's strongest student. However, the sheer numbers and diverse attacks of the monarchs pushed him to his limits. As he evaded a swarm of mind-controlled corpses, Kenzo felt the biting cold of the frost monarch's icy attacks. The venomous strikes from the poison monarch added another layer of danger, making every move a calculated risk. It was a three-front battle, each adversary vying to exploit any opening. In a moment of respite, Kenzo gathered his focus, assessing the situation. The insect monarch, still in control of her grotesque army, taunted him. "Do you feel the inevitability of defeat, human?" Kenzo's response was a determined glare. "I've faced stronger opponents than the likes of you," he retorted, unleashing a barrage of swift attacks. His blade sliced through the air, creating a whirlwind that pushed back the encroaching foes. The frost monarch, undeterred by Kenzo's defiance, intensified the cold, freezing the ground beneath him. The terrain became treacherous, hindering Kenzo's movements. As he leaped to avoid an incoming barrage of venom, the frost monarch seized the opportunity and conjured a towering ice golem to block his path. With his back against the frozen monolith, Kenzo faced the combined assault. The insect monarch's puppets closed in, the frost monarch manipulated the ice, and the poison monarch prepared another toxic wave. Correcting the oversight, Kenzo acknowledged the true nature of the adversary he had referred to as the insect monarch, realizing she was better described as the poison monarch. Adjusting his strategy, Kenzo continued to navigate the onslaught of attacks from the frost, poison, and now correctly identified insect monarch. As the combined assault intensified, Kenzo felt the weight of the battle pressing down on him. The green liquid, now recognized as a potent poison, posed an additional threat. Dodging the coordinated attacks became increasingly challenging, and Kenzo sensed the need for a decisive move. Without hesitation, Kenzo tapped into his command over gravity, making the adversaries heavier, their movements sluggish. The sudden change disrupted their coordination, providing Kenzo with a brief advantage. Seizing the opportunity, he teleported himself at least 200 feet away, putting some distance between him and the formidable trio. Breathing heavily, Kenzo took a moment to assess the situation. The battlefield had become a chaotic dance of elements, and he was acutely aware of the challenges ahead. The frost monarch, poison monarch, and insect monarch, now slowed by the gravitational manipulation, regrouped with a shared determination. "This won't save you for long, human," the frost monarch hissed, the air freezing around him as he prepared for another assault. Kenzo, recognizing the magnitude of the task at hand, steeled himself for the next phase of the intense battle. The odds were against him, but the Shadow Monarch was not one to back down easily. Kenzo, having distanced himself from the combined assault, found himself face to face with the imposing Beast Monarch. The Beast Monarch, his predatory instincts keen, had closed the gap with astonishing speed, ready to engage in a one-on-one confrontation. With a menacing growl, the Beast Monarch lunged at Kenzo, his ferocious attacks unleashing a relentless barrage. Kenzo, now forced to focus on this formidable adversary, parried and dodged with agility, the clash of their powers resonating through the air. The Beast Monarch's strength was overwhelming, each strike carrying the force of a powerful predator. Kenzo, however, drew upon his training and instincts, responding with swift and precise movements. The battlefield became a stage for their intense duel, the clash of blades and the crackling of energy filling the air. As the one-on-one battle intensified, the frost, poison, and insect monarchs observed, waiting for an opportune moment to rejoin the fight. Kenzo, fully aware of the looming threat, focused on the Beast Monarch before him. His every move was calculated, every strike aimed at finding weaknesses in the powerful adversary. The Beast Monarch, undeterred by Kenzo's skill, continued to press the attack, each swipe and bite intended to overpower the Shadow Monarch. The struggle between the two unfolded with primal intensity, the outcome uncertain in the midst of the chaotic battleground. Just as Kenzo felt the weight of the Beast Monarch's onslaught, a surge of relief washed over him as Igris, Choso, and Hanami broke free from their icy prisons. The Shadow Soldiers, displaying resilience and determination, rushed to the battlefield to aid their master. Igris, with a powerful swipe, clashed with the Beast Monarch, diverting his attention from Kenzo. The clash of their formidable strengths reverberated through the air, creating a momentary distraction that allowed Kenzo to catch his breath. Choso and Hanami, not to be outdone, joined forces to confront the Frost and Poison Monarchs who were preparing to rejoin the battle. Choso's rapid strikes and Hanami's sturdy defense created a formidable duo, challenging the adversaries on multiple fronts. Kenzo, regaining his composure, welcomed the assistance from his loyal shadow soldiers. With renewed determination, he re-engaged with the Beast Monarch, coordinating attacks with Igris to exploit any weaknesses. Meanwhile, outside in Shibuya, chaos reigned as a massive 400-meter-tall curtain enveloped the area. The barrier trapped civilians inside, preventing sorcerers from entering or leaving. The people within the confines of the curtain were desperate, and their singular demand echoed through the chaos. They wanted Satoru Gojo. Satoru Gojo, the legendary sorcerer, arrived on the scene with an air of nonchalance. His blindfold concealed his powerful eyes, and his hands casually rested in his pockets. Ignoring the pleas and chaos beneath him, Gojo levitated a few feet off the ground, displaying a disregard for the gravity of the situation. As he calmly traversed the area, his steps seemed indifferent, and he made no effort to avoid stepping on the faces of those desperately seeking his help. Gojo's focus, however, was set on a different target. His instincts honed in on the curse energy emanating from the strongest individuals within the barrier, the ones responsible for the attack, the ones he intended to deal with. With a goal in mind, Gojo moved purposefully, a force to be reckoned with. The tension in Shibuya heightened as the sorcerer prepared to confront the adversaries responsible for the chaos. The confrontation escalated as Gojo faced off against the formidable curse, Jogo, with his volcano-shaped head. Jogo taunted Gojo, suggesting that he might run away, to which Gojo responded with a confident smile. The air crackled with tension as the two powerful entities locked eyes. As the battle unfolded, Gojo's gaze swept across the area, detecting the presence of 3 other special-grade curses. Though not on par with Jogo, these curses were formidable threats to the majority of sorcerers. However, Gojo, in his characteristic manner, regarded them with indifference, seeing them as nothing more than a light warm-up. The situation took a dark turn as Jogo began indiscriminately killing people on the tracks, removing any obstacles in his path. The devastation left behind by Jogo's flames painted a grim picture, and Gojo found himself limited in his actions, with the lives of innocent bystanders at stake. Jogo, reveling in the chaos, questioned Gojo's resolve. "Not planning on running away, are you?" he taunted. Gojo's response was laced with confidence and a touch of mockery. "Don't make me laugh. I'm more shocked that you thought you ever stood a chance." As those words left Gojo's mouth, Jogo started sweating immensely. He was not built for this. In a stunning display of prowess, Satoru Gojo turned the tide of the battle into a ruthless massacre. Seizing the opportunity, he used Jogo as bait to draw out the curse responsible for eliminating obstacles. With precision and speed, Gojo incapacitated the threat, ensuring that the only obstacle removed was the curse's own existence. The battlefield transformed into a chaotic scene of devastation as Gojo, an unstoppable force, dismantled the curses one by one. His movements were a blur of overwhelming power and finesse, leaving no room for the curses to retaliate. The massacre served as a stark reminder of the vast difference in strength between Satoru Gojo and the formidable adversaries that dared to challenge him. As Jogo frantically sprinted for his life, panic etched across his volcano-shaped face. He resorted to desperate measures. In his terror, he began tossing innocent people towards Satoru Gojo, hoping to slow down the relentless pursuit. The people, caught in this macabre game, became unwitting pawns in Jogo's desperate attempt to escape the legendary sorcerer. However, Gojo remained unfazed, his pursuit unwavering. With each step, the strong sorcerer effortlessly dodged the human projectiles, his eyes locked onto Jogo. The sense of fear emanating from Jogo fueled Gojo's relentless chase. Jogo's thoughts raced as he questioned his decision to accept the mission that had led him to this dire predicament. The dread of facing an unstoppable force like Satoru Gojo gripped him, overshadowing any fleeting hopes of escape. The once confident curse now felt the weight of his impending demise at the hands of the monstrous sorcerer. The pursuit continued, the sounds of desperate footsteps and the panicked cries of the cursed resonating through the air. Shibuya, once engulfed in chaos, now witnessed a one-sided chase that further solidified Gojo's reputation as an indomitable force. As the distance between them closed, Jogo's fear deepened, and the realization of the inevitable loomed over him. The sudden appearance of a train brought a glimmer of hope to the people on the station in the midst of the chaos. Desperate for an escape from the nightmarish situation, they rushed towards the train, seeking refuge from the monstrous threats that had besieged Shibuya. As the train doors opened, however, the scene turned from hope to horror. Instead of finding salvation within the train, the passengers were met with a nightmarish spectacle, monsters pouring out of the train, attacking and devouring anyone who came too close. The promised sanctuary had turned into a deadly trap. Amidst the grotesque chaos, Mahito, the mischievous cursed spirit, emerged from the train on a skateboard, his laughter echoing through the station. His presence added another layer of malevolence to the unfolding catastrophe, and the people who had sought refuge now faced a new and seemingly insurmountable threat. With malevolent glee, Mahito and Jogo orchestrated a sinister plan, using the helpless civilians as bait to draw Satoru Gojo into a deadly trap. The once desperate crowd now found themselves caught between the merciless attacks of the curses and the overwhelming force of the sorcerer they had hoped would save them. Mahito, the shape-shifting cursed spirit, reveled in the chaos as he manipulated his soul to control the actions of the monstrous creatures he had unleashed. These grotesque forms moved with a savage hunger, attacking and devouring anyone within their reach. The once hopeful train station became a gruesome battlefield, stained with the despair of those caught in the crossfire. Jogo, still desperate to escape the relentless pursuit of Gojo, seized the opportunity presented by the chaos. The people, trapped in a nightmarish scenario, became unwitting pawns in this macabre game. As Mahito and Jogo unleashed their ferocious onslaught, the air was filled with the screams of the innocent, their desperation and fear manipulated to serve the dark intentions of the curses. In the midst of this gruesome spectacle, Gojo, the powerful sorcerer, confronted the moral dilemma of saving the innocent while facing the cunning tactics of his adversaries. "Fuck it," Gojo suddenly said as all the curse felt something was wrong. He would not open his domain but before they could finish the thought they all heard those familiar horrible sound domain expansion unlimited void. Gojo had opened his domain for 0.2 seconds. He had made a guess on how long to keep it open to not hurt the civilian, and 0.2 seconds was the number that came to him by instinct. Everyone stopped moving, and in 299 seconds Gojo Satoru, the strongest sorcerer of today, killed 1,000 transfigured human along with the other special grade that Jogo came with, leaving only Jogo and Mahito behind. In the midst of the chaotic battlefield, Satoru Gojo found himself a bit out of breath, fatigue settling in after the relentless pursuit and battles. As he attempted to catch his breath, a mysterious cube appeared right behind him, triggering his 6 eyes and instincts to alert him of imminent danger. Gojo, always on guard, began to distance himself from the enigmatic cube when, to his surprise, it opened to reveal a set of peculiar eyes staring back at him. The unexpected encounter took an even more bewildering turn as a familiar voice, that of his best friend Suguru Gido, greeted him with a casual "Yo, Satoru." "Huh?" Gojo responded, his confusion evident. Suguru's warm smile added to the surreal nature of the situation. "It's been a while, hasn't it, Satoru?" Suguru continued, his tone carrying a nostalgic note. Gojo stood still, taking in the unexpected appearance of his long-lost friend. As Suguru's words resonated, a flood of memories from their shared school days rushed through Gojo's mind. The weight of the past and the complexity of their relationship lingered in the air. Caught in a moment of contemplation, Gojo's guard momentarily lowered. As he pondered the memories and the current turn of events, the prison realm swiftly attached itself to him. Annoyance flashed across Gojo's face as the realization of being caught set in. In the tense exchange, Gojo confronted the imposter claiming to be Suguru Gido, questioning his true identity. The imposter, with a disturbing smile, revealed his true nature. "I am Suguru Gido. Did you already forget your friend?" he retorted, a twisted amusement in his eyes. Despite the appearance of Suguru, Gojo's instincts and soul refused to accept this as truth. The rage visibly etched on Gojo's face, he demanded an explanation. "Who the fuck are you?" The imposter, seemingly unfazed, removed something from his head, revealing his brain. A sinister grin adorned both his face and the exposed brain, adding an eerie layer to the unfolding confrontation. He boasted about his curse technique, the ability to take over other people's bodies and inherit their curse techniques. With a casual demeanor, the imposter began to taunt Gojo, recounting his previous hosts, Yuta Akatsu, and the powerful curse, Rika. He dismissed the idea of Akatsu becoming the next Satoru Gojo. The tension between them escalated as Gojo grinned, declaring that Kenzo would be the one to end the imposter. Kenjaku, as the imposter revealed himself to be, dismissed Kenzo as a mere rookie. "You are in for a rude awakening," Gojo warned with a smirk. But before the confrontation could reach its peak, Gojo found himself sealed, his power momentarily contained. Time skip. Yuji and Megumi found themselves locked in a fierce battle against a peculiar-looking old man. His mustache and unruly hair added an eccentric touch to his appearance. The clash had reached a climax as they jointly slammed the elderly figure down a staggering 41 stories. Concern etched on Yuji's face. He turned to Megumi, asking, "Fushiguro, you okay?" Megumi, meeting Yuji's gaze, replied with a nod, "I am fine." As they scanned the surroundings, Yuji inquired, "So where is he?" Megumi pointed towards the motionless old man on the floor. "He's over there." A sense of urgency filled the air. Yuji questioned further, "So is he dead?" Megumi, ever pragmatic, responded, "I didn't see him land, there is no blood around." "Get up, you old geezer." In response to Megumi's words, the seemingly defeated old man stood up, defying their expectations. He cast a disapproving look at the two teenagers and remarked, "Cheeky kids, you truly have no respect for the elderly." With those words, he effortlessly broke free from the binds that had restrained him. "We really can't afford the time to waste on you," Megumi asserted, his resolve apparent. From the depths of his shadow, his divine dog began to materialize. "We won't," Yuji added, determination flickering in his eyes. In an instant, his hands were engulfed in a radiant aura of curse energy, signaling a readiness to face whatever challenges lay ahead. With lightning speed, Yuji charged towards the old man, landing a powerful punch directly in his gut. A brief expression of pain flashed across the old man's face, a momentary crack in his composed demeanor. Confusion clouded his features. How was he feeling pain? His techniques were meant to. Before the old man could complete his thought, Megumi's divine dog materialized before him, launching a swift and precise slash. Yet, to their surprise, the old man seemed unfazed. Apart from a mere scratch on his cheek, no significant damage was inflicted. "A black flash it is, then," Yuji remarked nonchalantly, seemingly undeterred by the minimal impact of their attacks. The old man, now wearing a look of disbelief, eyed Yuji as if he were a force beyond comprehension. The young man, Yuji, seemed to hint that he could execute a black flash at will. Before the old man could fully process this revelation, Yuji was upon him, delivering a punch that induced a nauseating sensation. The force behind the blow sent the old man flying several meters away. Crashing to his knees, the old man struggled to catch his breath, bewildered by the intensity of the attack. What sorcery was this? How could this seemingly ordinary young man possess such overwhelming strength? "Oh man, I didn't hit it this time," Yuji lamented, his disappointment evident in his voice. His hope of landing the black flash had eluded him. "Remember what Kenzo-san told you, you can't use black flash and divergent fist at the same time," Megumi reminded Yuji, a stern gaze fixed on him. Yuji, in response, looked away, scratching the back of his head. The old man found himself lost in confusion, unable to fully comprehend the concept of the divergent fist. Before he could delve too deeply into his thoughts, another forceful blow landed on his stomach. This one was more potent than the first, and the only reason he clung to consciousness was the activation of his defensive technique. "Oh, so he finally felt it," Yuji remarked, observing the old man gasping for air. "Let's finish him quickly," Megumi proposed, prompting a nod of agreement from Yuji. The duo prepared for the final assault. As Yuji rushed toward the weakened old man, ready to deliver the decisive blow, Megumi's divine dog totality intervened. With a swift slash, the divine dog carved through the old man's chest, causing him to bleed profusely. "Oh, come on, not fair," Yuji complained, a note of playful frustration in his voice. Megumi shrugged, offering a simple explanation. "He's tough. We need to ensure he stays down." The old man, now sprawled on the ground, bore the consequences of their combined efforts, marking the end of a challenging encounter. After they have done their fair share of elderly people beating for the day, the curtain seems to have lifted as now they were freely able to move inside and find Gojo being freeing him from his prison. Pav changed to Nobara. "That was a disappointment," Nobara uttered, her gaze fixed on the battered figure beneath her. "He was a pest to deal with," she added with a sigh, nonchalantly using a paper to wipe off some of the blood from her nails. Nobara cast a final glance at the defeated Haruta on the floor before walking away, her expression a mix of annoyance and disdain. This whole ordeal seemed pitiful to her, and her irritation wasn't solely directed at the bloodied man at her feet. No, her annoyance stemmed from the fact that Kenzo had compelled her to undergo all those exercises. As Nobara distanced herself, Haruta, battered but not defeated, slowly rose from the floor. He watched her, seemingly catching her off guard, before hurling his weapon in her direction. Nobara, however, effortlessly dodged the incoming weapon. Irritation etched across her face. She turned to Haruta and exclaimed, "Can't you see that I am in thoughts?" Her annoyance was palpable, not just from the attack but also from the disturbance in her contemplative moment. Haruta, realizing the futility of his desperate attack, found himself at the mercy of Nobara's irritated gaze. With a mix of blood and defeat, he looked up at her, pleading for mercy. Nobara, however, was more concerned with her disrupted thoughts than the man who had just attempted to harm her. Her anger, a simmering flame fueled by the annoyance of Kenzo's imposed exercises, overshadowed any sympathy for Haruta. "You idiot," she spat, directing her frustration more at the memory of Kenzo's training regimen than at the pleading man before her. "Kenzo better have a good reason for putting me through all that trouble," she muttered under her breath, her annoyance palpable. Ignoring Haruta's pleas, Nobara continued to walk away, her mind clouded with thoughts of revenge against Kenzo for the inconvenience he had caused her. Nobara, her frustration mounting, muttered to herself as she walked away from the defeated Haruta. "How can he treat a lady so harshly? Did he really have to make me do all those difficult things?" Her irritation echoed in her voice, a mix of exasperation and genuine bewilderment at the demanding training Kenzo had subjected her to. As she continued on her way, the lingering resentment fueled her words. "I bet he wouldn't have put Yuji through this kind of nonsense. It's like he forgets I'm a lady and not one of those muscle heads." The memory of the grueling exercises replayed in her mind, intensifying her annoyance. Nobara, driven by a sense of righteous anger, couldn't help but plot a suitable revenge against Kenzo for what she perceived as an unjust treatment. Haruta, forgotten in the wake of her indignation, could only watch as she stormed away, leaving behind the aftermath of both physical and emotional frustration. As Nobara walked away, one of the few lucky mark on Haruta's cheek disappeared as he breathed a sigh of relief. He had survived. As Nobara stormed away, still seething with frustration, she abruptly collided with Nanami, who had been observing the battle from a distance. Nanami, noting Nobara's visibly irritated state, couldn't help but inquire about her well-being. "Nobara, are you all right?" he asked, concern etched on his face. "Can you still fight if needed?" Nobara, though still miffed from the recent encounter, took a moment to collect herself. She shot Nanami a glance, a mix of irritation and determination in her eyes. "Of course, I'm fine," she retorted, her voice carrying a resilient undertone. "Just dealing with some unnecessary headaches." Pav change. As Yuji sprinted at full speed toward Gojo Satoru, an unspoken urgency driving him, his focused path was suddenly intercepted. 2 floors away from his destination, a malevolent presence disrupted his trajectory, and a familiar voice echoed in the air. "Yuji-kun, you hear?" Mahito's voice sliced through the tension. In a twisted display of power, Mahito transfigured several humans right in front of Yuji. The once familiar faces morphed into grotesque creatures, a cruel transformation executed for Mahito's sadistic amusement. Yuji's blood boiled at the sight. Anger surged within him, fueled by the memories of past encounters with this malevolent being. The urgency to reach Gojo momentarily eclipsed by the immediate threat, Yuji found himself face to face with a nemesis that seemed to revel in chaos and torment. The stage was set for another dangerous confrontation. As the grotesque creatures created by Mahito writhed before him, Yuji felt the anger surging within. However, he knew that losing control wouldn't serve him in this dire situation. Taking a deep breath, he closed his eyes momentarily, focusing on centering himself. In that brief moment of calm, Yuji steadied his emotions, pushing the rage aside. He envisioned the training sessions with his friend, Kenzo Tatsuo, reminding himself of the discipline required to face adversaries like Mahito. The rhythmic inhales and exhales became a meditation, a conscious effort to regain control over his emotions. With his emotions in check, Yuji opened his eyes, revealing a resolute gaze. Adopting a combat stance, he flexed his muscles, each movement deliberate and calculated. The anger, now harnessed into a controlled force, fueled his determination. In a burst of speed, Yuji lunged forward, rushing toward Mahito with a newfound focus. The echoes of Kenzo teachings played in his mind, guiding his movements as he prepared to confront the twisted sorcerer. The clash between Yuji and Mahito unfolded with an intensity that mirrored the emotional struggle within Yuji's determined gaze. Yuji, propelled by determination, surged forward at full speed, closing the distance between him and Mahito. The cursed spirit, wearing a sinister smile, welcomed Yuji's approach, a sense of twisted delight in his eyes. The clash was swift and intense. As their attacks collided, Mahito's hand seamlessly transformed into a razor-sharp sword. A slashing motion followed, aimed at Yuji, who deftly dodged the strike. However, Mahito's repertoire was far from exhausted. With an eerie grace, Mahito conjured a transfigured human from his mouth, expanding it toward Yuji. The monstrous creation hurtled toward him with alarming force. Just as Yuji prepared to counter with a powerful punch, a haunting voice echoed in his ears, the innocent plea of a child saying, "I just want a hug." The unexpected voice injected a momentary hesitation into Yuji's resolve. In that split second of vulnerability, Mahito seized the opportunity. The attack, now reinforced with Mahito's malicious intent, pushed Yuji away. The transfigured human, sent hurtling towards him, exploded in a burst of malevolent energy right before Yuji's eyes. The explosion created a chaotic shockwave, sending Yuji tumbling backward. The resonance of the child's voice lingered in the air, leaving an eerie imprint on the battlefield. Mahito, reveling in the psychological warfare, watched with a sadistic satisfaction as the consequences of his calculated maneuver played out before him. The battlefield lay shrouded in the aftermath of the explosion, the smoke slowly dissipating to reveal Yuji rising determinedly from the ground. Across from him, Mahito, undeterred by the chaos he had orchestrated, wore a malevolent grin, ready for the next act in their twisted confrontation. As Yuji advanced, Mahito's hand transformed once more, morphing into a grotesque appendage that moved in erratic patterns. The surroundings distorted into a surreal dreamscape, a manifestation of Mahito's curse technique. Faces contorted into grotesque forms, and whispers of despair echoed through the distorted air. In the midst of the chaos, Mahito's sadism played out in the way he manipulated the nightmarish imagery. Grotesque faces leered menacingly at Yuji, attempting to exploit his emotions and sow confusion. Yet, undeterred, Yuji pressed forward, his focus unbroken amid the chaotic landscape. The eerie voice of the child returned, its desperate plea hanging in the air. "Why won't you hug me?" The emotional weight of the words reverberated through the distorted realm. Mahito's malevolent amusement echoed in the twisted dreamscape as he toyed with Yuji's perception of reality. "Why so serious, Yuji-kun? It's just a little game. Can you discern what's real in this sea of illusions?" As Yuji pressed forward, determined, Mahito continued his taunting, his voice dripping with sadistic delight. "You know, the human mind is such a fragile thing. It's fascinating how easily it can be manipulated, distorted." Mahito added with a smile, "The human mind might be fragile, but it's also resilient. It's what makes us who we are, and I won't let you exploit that," Yuji said with a serious expression on her face. Mahito's grotesque hand morphed and twisted, creating nightmarish illusions around them. His words became a psychological onslaught, aiming to unravel Yuji's resolve. "Look around, Yuji. Can you tell your nightmares from reality? It's a carnival of despair, and you're the star." The eerie voice of the child returned, its desperation amplifying the unsettling atmosphere. Mahito reveled in the emotional turmoil he was creating. "Why won't you give the poor kid a hug, Yuji? Don't you feel their pain? Embrace the chaos, embrace the suffering." As Yuji closed the distance, Mahito's grin widened, the sadistic pleasure evident in his voice. "Come closer, Yuji. I have so much more to show you. Let the illusions consume you." The fight unfolded amidst Mahito's psychological games, his every word designed to erode Yuji's mental defenses and amplify the chaos of their confrontation. Yuji's relentless charge towards Mahito was a testament to his determination. As he closed the distance, his fist drawn back, he unleashed a barrage of punches with newfound strength. Each blow landed with a force that reverberated through the surreal dreamscape. Mahito, caught off guard by the sudden surge in Yuji's power, felt the impact of the punches. His expression shifted from sadistic amusement to a realization that something had changed. There was an intensity in Yuji's strikes, a raw strength that went beyond their previous encounters. Amidst the flurry of blows, Mahito grappled with an unspoken realization. The punches weren't just physically stronger, there was an underlying force, an aura that eluded his understanding. As Yuji punched Mahito away, Mahito was sent flying back a few feet, but he stood up before wiping away the blood on his nose, saying someone got mad. Before he could say anything else, Mahito suddenly went gassoed for air. He felt as if a part of his soul had been completely destroyed. As he looked up at Yuji, who was looking down at him, he realized something was wrong. What was this hit? Yuji didn't hit him, so what was it? The answer was simple. It was Divergent Fist. With his knowledge and Kenzo guidance, Yuji was able to upgrade his Divergent Fist. For one, he could make the time it would take to land longer. For second, due to Kenzo telling him that the more risk he takes with a technique, the stronger it gets. Yuji had unintentionally created a binding vow on his technique to make it stronger. In exchange for a lot of power, this version of the Divergent Fist took a while to build. He had to keep attacking his opponent and not stop attacking them for more than 5 seconds, or else all the energy he would have built up would have been wasted and he wouldn't get it back. So there was a risk to doing it, but it was worth it. Pav change. Maki strode confidently through the area, a bowstaff tightly gripped in her hand, emanating an aura of strength. By her side were Nanami, Nobara, and Naobito Zenin. The atmosphere hinted at an impending mission, yet Naobito appeared disinterested, a drink in hand, as if he had more important matters to attend to. "Shouldn't you be somewhere else right now, Maki?" Naobito slurred his words, his drunken demeanor contrasting with Maki's focused stance. "No, I'm exactly where I need to be," Maki retorted, her response sharp and direct. The annoyance in her expression revealed a tension between duty and personal sentiments, a conflict that seemed to simmer beneath the surface. Naobito chuckled, taking another sip of his drink as if he found Maki's response amusing. His nonchalant demeanor clashed with the gravity of their surroundings. "Perfect place, huh?" Naobito's words were slurred with drunkenness, and a sneer played on his lips. "I didn't think they would let someone as weak as you on the battlefield." Maki's grip on her weapon tightened, her annoyance palpable, yet she restrained herself from responding. Nobara, observing from behind, could sense the tension and a hint of anger that likely fueled Maki's disdain for the Zenin clan. As they continued forward, their path intersected with an unexpected adversary, an octopus-like curse. Maki's eyes glinted with anticipation. "Finally something to do," she muttered, readying herself for combat. Before Maki could reach the creature, Naobito surged forward, displaying a surprising burst of speed. "You are slow," he said, freezing the cursed creature in a momentary frame before delivering a powerful punch that sent it sprawling. The cursed creature, seemingly harmless at first glance, staggered back to its feet. Then, unexpectedly, it emitted a mournful cry before regurgitating a torrent of water. To everyone's horror, the water contained the skeletal remains of numerous human victims, evidence of the creature's gruesome activities, a hidden menace that had taken the lives of countless innocent people. Nobara, Maki, and Nanami stared at the grotesque display, a chilling reminder of the horrors they faced on the battlefield. The seemingly harmless creature had, in reality, been a harbinger of death, and the grim reality of their mission settled heavily upon the team. "How many people did you eat?" Naobito's question hung in the air, but the creature offered no direct response. Instead, it began chanting the names of its fallen comrades, a macabre litany that spoke volumes about its grisly deeds. Nobara, visibly disgusted by the revelation, couldn't fathom the cruelty the curse had unleashed. The creature, seemingly provoked by Naobito's question, erupted in a rage, accusing them of killing someone named Hanami. In a bizarre twist, the creature began tearing itself apart, undergoing a grotesque transformation. "No wonder you were so weak. You were just a curse womb," Naobito remarked, his gaze piercing through the creature's newfound form. The cursed spirit had evolved, towering above them with a humanoid shape. Its head now resembled that of an octopus, adorned with black dots and blank green eyes. The creature's color palette had shifted, its arms, thighs, hips, and chest taking on a vibrant red hue. The intersections of these areas were tan, and its midsection turned a deep black. Wings sprouted from its lower back, granting it an eerie levitation. The battlefield had transformed, and the team found themselves facing a formidable adversary, a once seemingly harmless creature now reborn into a more potent and malevolent form. The true test of their abilities awaited as they prepared to confront this evolved cursed spirit. The creature unleashed a torrent of water, a deadly wave that the team skillfully dodged. In the midst of the chaos, the cursed spirit embarked on a rant about names, vehemently objecting to being referred to simply as a cursed spirit. It asserted that every special grade cursed spirit had a name, a distinction that it deemed crucial. While the creature vented its grievances, Naobito seized the opportunity to explain his technique, projection sorcery. He revealed the intricate details of this sorcery, the ability to divide 1 second into 24 frames, each frame representing a predetermined set of movements. Anything touched by Naobito's palm during this time frame would be frozen for 1 second inside an animation frame. The sorcery allowed him to move seemingly faster than the eye could perceive and incapacitate adversaries unable to match his speed. As Naobito delved into his explanation, Nanami seized the moment to strike. His sword flashed, aiming for the curse named Dagon. The creature attempted to block, but a barrage of nails penetrated its skin, momentarily distracting it. Before it could react, a forceful blow struck its head, wielded by none other than Maki with her bowstaff. The impact felt like it had crushed some of Dagon's organs, yet the creature pressed on, creating more water to distance itself from the assault. However, the calculated distraction had allowed Nanami to unleash a powerful counterattack. Dagon found himself frozen mid-action as Naobito enforced his projection sorcery, the creature having failed to abide by the meticulous rhythm of 24 frames per second. With Dagon suspended in the air, Maki seized the opportunity. A swift downward slash sent the cursed spirit hurtling back to the ground. The coordinated efforts of the team had turned the tide of battle, their synergy evident as they confronted the evolved and enraged cursed spirit. Nanami, ever the calculated sorcerer, executed a precise strike using his 7/3 curse technique. His sword cut through the air, and with a swift, calculated motion, he managed to sever Dagon's hands. The dismembered limbs tumbled through the air, a testament to Nanami's precision. Dagon didn't seem perturbed by the loss. The cursed spirit's regenerative abilities were on full display, and before their eyes, the severed hand began to reform like it was never gone to begin with. Dagon's regeneration was swift, as if the injury had been nothing more than a temporary inconvenience. Nanami, unfazed by the unexpected resilience, maintained his focus on the ongoing battle. The severed hands, in a strategic move, he threw one of the reformed hands toward Nobara, who met the unexpected projectile with a mischievous smile. Resonance was all Dagon heard as a bunch of spikes seemed to appear outside as he was being attacked. He didn't know how exactly, but this attack was dangerous. He needed to get rid of whoever could launch it, and quickly. Dagon didn't have time to think as Naobito was already on his ass. On a last-ditch effort, Dagon tried to open his domain, but Naobito stopped him by beating his ass. But as Naobito looked at the beaten-up body of Dagon, he had noticed something. He was too late. Domain expansion, horizon of the captivating Skanda. As soon as the domain opened, Nobara immediately opened her simple domain. Naobito swiftly initiated his anti-domain technique, Falling Blossom Emotion, a secret art designed specifically as an anti-domain countermeasure. Unlike Nobara's simple domain, which created a protective barrier, Falling Blossom Emotion responded to an enemy's domain by unleashing cursed energy the moment it made contact. The secret technique bestowed upon Naobito the ability to resist the effects of an opponent's domain expansion, making him a formidable force against curses that manipulated the environment around them. Dagon, the evolved cursed spirit, assessed the situation with narrowed eyes as he realized that Naobito and Nobara were seemingly unaffected by his domain expansion. Dagon's gaze shifted between the two unaffected individuals, calculating the threat they posed. The old man, Naobito, undoubtedly stood out as the primary adversary, but the girl with the simple domain, Nobara, had proven to possess a peculiar ability that could harm him. In the midst of battle, Dagon formulated a strategic assessment, assigning percentages of threat to each of his adversaries. The old man held the highest risk at 50%, the girl with the simple domain followed at 15%, the girl encased in glass at 30%, and the remaining person at approximately 5%. Dagon's analytical approach revealed the intricate balance of power between them, setting the stage for a clash of techniques and strategies. The battlefield buzzed with tension as each participant prepared for the escalating confrontation, aware that the outcome hung in the delicate balance of percentages and tactics. As Dagon executed his plan, the environment underwent a sudden shift. With his hands joined together, a surge of malevolent energy enveloped the surroundings, heralding a new phase of the battle. Naobito found himself under a relentless assault from a swarm of Shikigami, ethereal entities that seemed intent on overwhelming him. The onslaught demanded all his focus and skill as he struggled to maintain his Falling Blossom emotion, countering the effects of Dagon's domain expansion. Nobara, too, sensed a disturbance in her simple domain. It felt as if an unseen force was attempting to unravel the protective barrier she had erected. Determined, she engaged in a silent struggle, pouring her cursed energy into fortifying the defenses of her domain against the unseen assailant. Maki and Nanami, on the other hand, were beset by a horde of creatures spawned by Dagon's domain. Maki, showcasing her immense strength, pushed the creatures away before wielding her bow staff to crush them. Nanami mirrored her actions, swiftly breaking free from the grasp of the Shikigami, though it seemed weaker than the assault on Maki. Amidst the chaos, Dagon seized the opportunity to launch a direct attack on Naobito. With a powerful punch, he sent the seasoned sorcerer hurtling through the air, exploiting the distraction caused by the relentless onslaught of Shikigami. The battlefield had transformed into a maelstrom of curses and countermeasures, each participant grappling with the unique challenges presented by Dagon's domain expansion. The clash intensified, and the outcome of the confrontation hung in the delicate balance of skill, resilience, and strategic maneuvering. Amidst the chaos of Shikigami assaulting Maki, Dagon seized the opportunity to exploit the distraction. The evolved cursed spirit, his movements fueled by malevolence, lunged towards Maki with a swift and formidable strike. The air crackled with the intensity of the impending clash. Despite being surrounded by a multitude of fish Shikigami, Maki remained composed. In the midst of the swirling aquatic entities, she adeptly wielded her bowstaff with precision and finesse. As Dagon's attack descended upon her, Maki's reaction was swift and calculated. With a deft movement, she positioned her bowstaff in a defensive stance, intercepting Dagon's strike. The impact resonated through the battlefield, creating a momentary stillness in the midst of the tumultuous battle. Maki, resolute and unyielding, stood her ground against the onslaught, the defensive prowess of her bowstaff proving to be a formidable barrier against Dagon's aggression. The clash between Maki and Dagon, amidst the aquatic chaos, exemplified the dance of strength and skill on the battlefield. The relentless assault of Fish Shikigami, coupled with Dagon's ferocious attacks, painted a vivid picture of the ongoing struggle between curses and sorcerers in this tumultuous encounter. Dagon, his eyes ablaze with hostility, would utter a threatening declaration, "I need to end you quickly, sorcerer." In response, Maki, undeterred and exuding confidence, would retort with a cocky grin, "Good luck with that. I'm not one to be taken down so easily, fish boy." Dagon, fueled by determination and frustration, intensified his assault on Maki. The strikes came with increased force, an attempt to overwhelm her defenses and break through her guard. Each blow echoed through the battlefield, a testament to the sheer power behind Dagon's attacks. Yet, Maki, ever agile and resolute, met the onslaught head-on. With a combination of deft maneuvers and swift parries using her bowstaff, she managed to keep up with the torrent of strikes. The clash unfolded in a flurry of movement, the air filled with the sounds of collision as Maki skillfully avoided lethal blows, showcasing her remarkable agility and combat prowess. While the relentless assault took its toll, leaving Maki with a few hits, she adeptly avoided any potentially fatal injuries. Her resilience and skill were evident as she danced through Dagon's attacks, her cocky demeanor unwavering in the face of adversity. The force of Dagon's punch sent Maki hurtling backward, but she skillfully used her bowstaff to aid in a swift recovery. Wiping away the blood from her cheek with determination, she taunted the special grade curse. "And you call yourself a special grade curse ... What a joke." Enraged by her defiance, Dagon prepared to launch another assault. However, before he could unleash his fury, Naobito intervened with his projection sorcery, freezing the giant octopus in a frame. The frozen entity was then propelled toward Maki, who, with a powerful swing of her bowstaff, shattered the frame, causing Dagon to spew blood as he was sent crashing backward. Undeterred, Dagon, fueled by anger, summoned a horde of Shikigami to blind and disorient his adversaries. Seizing the opportunity, he rushed toward Maki with ferocious intent. As the Shikigami swarmed around her, biting into her skin, Maki's instincts signaled impending danger. In a moment of quick thinking, she looked up to find Dagon's fist mere millimeters away from her face. Instead of succumbing to shock, Maki grinned and uttered a command, "Extend." In an instant, her bowstaff extended rapidly, defying the proximity of Dagon's fist. The extended weapon struck the cursed spirit's guts with incredible force, sending him flying before he could land his intended blow on Maki. Nobara suddenly jumped toward Nanami, making sure that he was inside her simple domain as well. However, she also had to pay the burden of having him in there, and now instead of 15% she had to face 20%. She could bear through it. Upon saying what Nobara was doing, Maki smiled ... So she was basically giving them a space to rest inside her simple domain. Wasn't that nice? Nanami thanked Nobara, to which she just replied with something along the line of, "If you want to thank me, then let's get out of this alive." Even though Nobara hated the training that Kenzo put her through with all her guts ... she had to admit if he didn't train her that roughly every day to the point that she was gasping for air and unable to move because he was so rough ... his training had paid off. Seizing the opportunity presented by Dagon's distraction with Naobito, Maki found herself reluctantly compelled to cooperate in the face of the common enemy, Dagon. As they jumped Dagon, each move seemed to betray an unspoken competition, a clash of individualistic approaches rather than a harmonious alliance. Maki's raw strength clashed with Naobito's calculated precision, creating an awkward synergy that left both sorcerers on edge. Dagon, sensing the disarray in their collaboration, attempted to exploit the discord. Yet, each time he sought to capitalize on their lack of coordination, Nobara, fueled by her own frustration, intervened with her cursed nails. Her attacks, while effective, served more as a disruption to Dagon's plans than a well-coordinated strategy with her companions. In the midst of the strained collaboration between Maki and Naobito, an unexpected twist further escalated the chaos on the battlefield. Maki, seemingly fueled by a surge of determination or an unknown source of power, began to accelerate. Her movements became a blur, and her attacks, already formidable, now carried an intensified force. Dagon, caught off guard by Maki's sudden burst of speed and enhanced strength, struggled to keep up. The accelerated onslaught took its toll on the special grade curse, and in a decisive moment, Maki's bowstaff found its mark. With a swift and precise strike, she managed to sever one of Dagon's arms, a testament to the overwhelming power she now possessed. As Dagon initiated the regeneration process for his severed hand, Maki seized the opportunity to take the battle to a new level of brutality. With a swift motion, she grabbed the freshly regrown hand and tossed it toward Nobara, who deftly caught it with a dark smirk playing on her lips. Capitalizing on the gruesome projectile at her disposal, Nobara activated her curse technique, Resonance. A surge of cursed energy emanated from her as large, ominous black spikes erupted from the severed hand, targeting a specific point on Dagon's chest. The grotesque scene unfolded as the black spikes pierced through Dagon's chest, causing him to convulse in pain. The resonance between the curse technique and its target intensified the impact, amplifying the agony experienced by the special grade curse. Meanwhile, as Kenzo faced off against the relentless assault of the three powerful monarchs, the Frost Monarch, the Insect Monarch, and the Beast Monarch, he could feel the strain on his body and mana reserves intensify. The unrelenting onslaught had persisted for what felt like an eternity, and weariness began to settle in. The Frost Monarch, with frigid powers at its disposal, unleashed waves of icy attacks, creating barriers of frost and hindering Kenzo's movements. Simultaneously, the Insect Monarch swarmed him with agile and venomous minions, making evasion a constant challenge. The Beast Monarch, with raw strength and ferocity, delivered powerful physical blows that tested Kenzo's endurance. Despite Kenzo's remarkable skills and resourcefulness, the prolonged engagement was taking its toll. His mana reserves dwindled with each passing moment, and the monarch's keen observers noticed the telltale signs of his diminishing magical energy. Kenzo, however, refused to yield. Every strike, every maneuver was executed with a calculated precision, utilizing the last reserves of his mana to fend off the relentless trio. The battlefield echoed with clashes of elements, ice, venom, and raw force as Kenzo fought against the odds, determined to overcome the formidable challenge presented by the monarchs. The Beast Monarch, a towering embodiment of raw strength and primal fury, intensified its assault on Kenzo. Each thunderous blow carried the weight of a relentless beast, shaking the ground upon impact. The monarch's roars echoed across the battlefield, a cacophony of intimidation aimed at breaking Kenzo's resolve. Taunting words accompanied each strike, the Beast Monarch reveling in the perceived weakness of its opponent. "Is this the best you can do? And to think you dare call yourself a monarch?" The taunts were meant to demoralize, to shatter Kenzo's determination. But he remained steadfast. Kenzo, despite the overwhelming brute force, met the challenge head-on. His movements became a dance of precision and agility, evading the crushing blows with a well-timed grace. The clash of elements continued as Kenzo unleashed his own barrage of magical attacks, combining spells and maneuvers to keep the Beast Monarch at bay. Amidst the chaos, Kenzo's focus remained unwavering. He knew he couldn't match the sheer physical power of the Beast Monarch, but his strategic brilliance and magical prowess allowed him to stay one step ahead. The battlefield became a symphony of clashes, each strike a testament to the struggle between brawn and intellect. As the Beast Monarch grew more frustrated, Kenzo seized the opportunity to counter, exploiting the monarch's momentary lapses. The ebb and flow of the battle showcased Kenzo's resilience and tactical brilliance, proving that even in the face of overwhelming force, a skilled sorcerer could hold their ground. As Kenzo faced the relentless assault of the monarchs, the dire situation prompted him to activate his bond of mentorship skill. The unique connection he shared with Satoru Gojo, his mentor, became a source of strength and strategic insight. The air around Kenzo seemed to shimmer with a newfound energy as he invoked Gojo's wisdom. The mentorship benefits immediately manifested, enhancing Kenzo's critical thinking skills by an impressive 250%. In the midst of the chaotic battle, this boost allowed him to analyze the monarch's movements with unparalleled clarity, discerning patterns and weaknesses that were previously elusive. But Kenzo didn't stop there. With a swift activation of another skill, he tapped into the bond even further, channeling its power to temporarily boost his own strength, resilience, and insight. The surge of energy enveloped him, granting a remarkable 500% increase in his capabilities for the next 3 minutes. Empowered by the combined effects of the bond of mentorship and the additional skill, Kenzo became a force to be reckoned with on the battlefield. His movements became more precise, his magical attacks more potent, and his resilience unmatched. The monarchs, momentarily taken aback by this sudden surge, now faced a sorcerer who had transcended his limits through the guidance and connection forged with his mentor, Satoru Gojo. Back to Yuji. The relentless battle between Yuji and Mahito raged on, each blow landing with brutal force, yet the cursed spirit refused to succumb. Mahito's ability to reshape souls allowed him to regenerate, making him a formidable opponent that seemed impervious to defeat. Amidst the physical confrontation, Mahito, sadistic and cunning, sought not only to defeat Yuji physically but also to break him mentally. Transfigured humans, once innocent bystanders, now stood as grotesque pawns in Mahito's twisted game. He used these tormented souls to torment Yuji, attempting to shatter his psyche by forcing him to witness the atrocities. Yuji, fueled by anger and determination, struggled to maintain his composure. The inner turmoil was evident in his eyes, a conflict between the desire for vengeance and the need to preserve his humanity. Mahito, sensing the emotional turmoil within Yuji, reveled in the psychological battle just as much as the physical one. Look at them, Yuji-kun. All the people that you couldn't save. Their suffering is exquisite, isn't it? Mahito taunted, his words designed to erode Yuji's mental fortitude. Yet, despite the emotional onslaught, Yuji fought to keep his focus on the immediate threat. The clash between the two intensified, the battlefield becoming a chaotic dance of curses and cursed energy. Yuji, though slipping into the abyss of rage, continued to resist the psychological onslaught. His fists struck with a mix of fury and determination, each blow echoing his defiance against the sadistic machinations of Mahito. The intensity of the battle reached a crescendo as Yuji, fueled by a surge of determination and anger, unleashed a devastating black flash upon Mahito. The cursed spirit, caught off guard by the sudden surge in power, was sent flying several feet backward, unable to withstand the overwhelming force of the attack. As Mahito collided with the ground, a pained groan escaped his lips. He struggled to rise, blood dripping from his mouth as a visible sign of the impact. The power of the black flash had left its mark, disrupting Mahito's cursed form and leaving him vulnerable. Breathing heavily, Yuji stood his ground, the torrent of emotions within him now channeled into a focused resolve. His fists, still crackling with cursed energy, showcased the culmination of his training and the burning desire to protect those he cared about. "I will exorcise you," Yuji declared, his voice resolute. The psychological torment inflicted by Mahito's sadistic actions had fueled a fire within him, a fire that now manifested in the raw power of his black flash. Despite the damage inflicted, Mahito, ever defiant, managed to rise from the ground. His eyes gleamed with a mix of anger and admiration. "Is Yuji-kun mad at me? You're truly becoming a fascinating specimen." Mahito wiped the blood from his mouth, his form shifting as he prepared for another round. Undeterred by the setback, Mahito, ever the manipulator of souls, seized the opportunity to turn the tide back in his favor. With a malevolent grin, he directed his attention to the surroundings, where the transfigured humans lay twisted and grotesque, their forms distorted by the curse's influence. Mahito raised his hand, and the transfigured humans responded, moving with eerie, puppet-like motions. Their movements were erratic, a macabre dance orchestrated by the cursed spirit himself. Mahito, calculating and sadistic, used them as his pawns in the twisted game of battle. As the transfigured humans closed in on Yuji, their movements unpredictable and unsettling, Mahito seized the moment to launch his own attack. His form blurred as he darted towards Yuji, aiming to exploit the chaos created by the manipulated souls. Yuji, surrounded by the transfigured horrors, maintained his focus, his senses sharp. The distorted faces of the once human entities served as a constant reminder of the stakes in this battle. He deftly navigated the onslaught of attacks, avoiding the grotesque strikes with a combination of agility and instinct. Mahito, reveling in the psychological pressure he exerted on Yuji, seized the opportunity to land a decisive blow. He lunged forward, his movements fluid and deceptive. His fist, charged with malevolent energy, aimed for Yuji's vulnerable points. In response, Yuji unleashed a barrage of precise strikes, aiming to dismantle the transfigured minions around him. Each calculated blow was a testament to his growing mastery over combat. However, the relentless assault from both the manipulated humans and Mahito himself tested the limits of Yuji's endurance. The battle continued in a chaotic symphony of curses and clashes, each combatant pushing themselves to the brink. Yuji, caught in the twisted dance orchestrated by Mahito, fought not only against the physical adversaries, but also against the psychological torment that sought to break his spirit. As the twisted dance of battle unfolded, Yuji's determination reached new heights. Fueled by a potent mix of anger and the unyielding desire to protect, he unleashed a relentless assault on Mahito. The cursed spirit, momentarily caught off guard by the sheer ferocity of Yuji's onslaught, struggled to respond. With a calm expression, Yuji surged forward, his fists and kicks a blur of cursed energy. Mahito, attempting to defend against the onslaught, found himself overwhelmed by the sheer force and speed of the attacks. Yuji's strikes landed with precision, each blow carrying the weight of pent-up frustration and the collective pain of those affected by Mahito's malevolence. The tempo of the battle shifted dramatically as Yuji channeled the power of Black Flash into his punches. With every impact, a burst of cursed energy erupted, creating shockwaves that resonated through the battlefield. The very fabric of Mahito's cursed form seemed to quiver under the force of Yuji's assault. The culmination of this relentless barrage was a sequence of devastating punches, a tenfold onslaught that left Mahito reeling. 5 of those strikes were infused with the destructive power of Black Flash, amplifying the impact and further distorting Mahito's cursed form. The air crackled with the residual energy of the onslaught as Mahito, battered and disoriented, struggled to maintain his composure. The sadistic grin that had adorned his face faltered, replaced by a grim acknowledgement of the overwhelming power he faced. With a final, powerful kick, Yuji sent Mahito sprawling backward, a testament to the culmination of his growth and the strength he derived from the bonds he forged. The battlefield now bore witness to a decisive moment, where the balance between curses and humanity teetered on the edge, and Yuji stood as the unyielding force challenging the malevolence that sought to consume it. With each Black Flash-infused strike, the impact on Mahito was magnified exponentially, the cursed energy resonating with a power beyond the ordinary. The very essence of the cursed spirit seemed to recoil under the immense force of Yuji's blows. The first Black Flash-empowered punch connected with Mahito's form, causing a violent eruption of cursed energy. It sent shockwaves through the battlefield, distorting the very air around them. Mahito, unable to fully comprehend the sheer intensity of the blow, was thrust backward, his cursed body visibly contorted. As the second, third, and fourth Black Flash-enhanced strikes followed in rapid succession, Mahito's form began to unravel. The cursed energy radiating from the impact points disrupted the cohesion of his essence, exposing vulnerabilities within his once imposing figure. Each punch left a lasting imprint, not only on Mahito's physical form but also on the core of his cursed being. The fifth Black Flash-infused strike, the culmination of this devastating sequence, struck Mahito with unparalleled force. The cursed spirit, now teetering on the brink of dissolution, emitted an anguished howl that echoed across the battlefield. His once twisted visage contorted in pain as the aftermath of the Black Flash left a visible imprint, a testament to the overwhelming power unleashed by Yuji. In the wake of this relentless assault, Mahito lay battered and weakened. The malevolent spirit, whose arrogance had fueled countless atrocities, now faced the consequences of underestimating the strength that had blossomed within Yuji. Mahito, sprawled on the battlefield, his cursed form in tatters and his malevolent energy waning, found himself at the precipice of a grim realization. The twisted smile that had once adorned his face contorted into a grimace of pain and frustration. The ominous aura that had defined him began to flicker and fade. Amidst the echoes of his own defeat, Mahito's mind grappled with the undeniable truth. He stood before a force beyond his comprehension. The power wielded by Yuji, fueled by the resonance of Black Flash, had become an insurmountable obstacle. No longer could Mahito revel in toying with human emotions or manipulating the very fabric of souls. He faced a monster, a force of nature whose determination transcended the boundaries of his understanding. As the reality of his impending defeat settled in, Mahito's malevolence contorted into a begrudging acknowledgement. He, the embodiment of humanity's darker impulses, found himself outmatched by the very species he sought to extinguish. The once confident cursed spirit now harbored a seed of doubt, a realization that this encounter marked the end of his reign of terror. Of change, Dagon, the special grade curse, displayed an unnerving resilience that seemed to defy the onslaught of attacks unleashed upon him. Maki, Neobaido, Nobara, and Nanami formed an uneasy alliance, each member contributing their unique skills to the relentless assault on the aquatic menace. Their blows landed with precision, and the battlefield echoed with the sounds of clashing weapons and curses. Maki's bowstaff whirred through the air as she delivered powerful strikes, aiming to incapacitate Dagon. Neobaido's calculated movements, enhanced by his projection sorcery, allowed him to strike with precision, exploiting the weaknesses revealed by his allies. Nobara's nails, imbued with cursed energy, punctuated the assault, seeking vulnerable points on Dagon's body. Nanami, with his swordsmanship, orchestrated a series of precise strikes, aiming to sever any regenerating limbs. Despite their combined efforts, Dagon's regeneration proved to be a formidable challenge. The cursed energy that enveloped him facilitated a rapid recovery, nullifying the impact of their attacks almost as quickly as they were executed. The frustration among the group grew palpable as they realized that traditional methods might not be enough to overcome this aquatic behemoth. As they were fighting, suddenly Dagon felt as if something was wrong. He felt as if he was inside a domain tug-of-war as Megumi into the scene, opening his own domain chimer Shadow Garden. As Megumi appeared onto the scene, he yelled out Maki's name before tossing her Playful Cloud, a weapon that would improve her striking strength by a lot. Just in time, Maki said as she grabbed the weapon that had appeared beneath her. She then tossed her bowstaff into the shadow as she now was using the Playful Cloud. How foolish, Dagon said as he tried to activate his sure hit attack against Megumi, and then he felt it. His sure hit was cancelled as he was in a domain clash. As long as the domain clash lasted, then he wouldn't be able to activate his sure hit. So I just have to kill him. That should be easy, Dagon said, summoning fish Shikigami and sending them toward Megumi, who was currently focused. However, before the fishes even reached Megumi, they were destroyed by Nanami and Nobara, and now that Maki had Playful Cloud, Dagon was being tossed around. The weapon amplifying Maki's already immense strength was now turning the overgrown octopus into a sushi. Megumi had some time to refine his domain expansion, meaning as of now, even if his domain didn't have stable barriers it had barrier. But he didn't use them and instead just focus on trying to find a way to leave this thing domain. And if this battle ended up taking a lot from him, he would use Round Deer to heal himself and his allies. Now all he needs to do is break this fish domain. Megumi's eyes had a determined look to them as he started to pout his curse energy into his domain, along with using all the knowledge he had acquired recently about barriers. Megumi then smiled as suddenly Dagon felt his domain breaking. Megumi smiled before all of the sudden, Dagon saw cracks appeared in his domain. How was this happening? It was simple, really. Domain usually have a weaker shell on the outside. Megumi summoned his divine dog totality outside and made it attack the barrier as soon as he himself was inside the domain. As Dagon domain broke, Megumi domain took control, and he finally decided to add barriers to his domain as suddenly the battlefield was now his shadow. Dagon looked furious and tried to use his curse technique, but due to him having expanded his domain he was currently suffering curse technique burnout. He would have to survive exactly 1 minute in order to get it back. The thing was, however, he wouldn't get that much time. Dagon was now facing Megumi domain sure hits attacks, Maki powerful ass hits, Naobito projection sorcery, and the only reason he could keep up with Naobito to begin with was because of his domain buff, along with the fact that he used his sure hit to slow the old man down. There is also Nobara and Nanami, and to make it all better, he was now being restrained. So after Dagon had died, Megumi decided to close his domain and all the Shikigami that he had summoned returned back to his shadow. This was easy. And then he blinked. Why was he outside and how did he get outside? Megumi found himself face to face with a striking figure. Towering over him, the tall and muscular man exuded an undeniable presence, his black eyes piercing through the turmoil surrounding them. Dressed in a loose white sweater that hinted at both comfort and functionality, his mid-length straight black hair framed his face, and a subtle scar on the corner of his right lip added a touch of ruggedness to his otherwise composed demeanor. The black pants and shoes completed a simple yet imposing ensemble. Back inside where they were, Maki turned around to look at the window that Megumi had been thrown toward. She swore she saw someone grab Megumi before tossing him outside and jumping after him. Even though she saw it, she was unable to react to it properly. Her eyes immediately turned around her as she felt the presence of another special grade curse. Looking at the corpse of Dagon slowly disappearing, Jogo held the ashes of his fallen comrade before laying him to rest. Jogo then stood up before looking at the human in the room. He then speed blitzed Nanami before burning him into a crisp. That one, Jogo said before rushing toward Maki to give her the same fiery treatment. Maki, however, moved out of the way of the attack and barely managed to dodge it. Naobito tried to attack Jogo, but Jogo dodged the old man attack before sending some insect toward the man. Naobito dodged the insects with some difficulty. As Jogo was about to attack him, he was suddenly attacked by a playful cloud hit from Maki that sent him flying. The cursed spirit puked out blood. He almost died. As Jogo reeled from the impact of Maki's strike, blood gushed from his mouth, staining the air with a sickly aroma. The playful cloud, amplifying Maki's strength, had delivered a blow powerful enough to make even a special grade curse like Jogo vulnerable. Maki, her expression fierce and determined, seized the opportunity to press the advantage. She swiftly closed the distance between them, her weapon poised for another strike. However, Jogo, though wounded, demonstrated the resilience characteristic of his cursed spirit nature. He managed to evade Maki's immediate follow-up attack, the flames around him flickering ominously. Jogo healed his damage before suddenly disappearing from Maki's sight. He then appeared, sent a bunch of fire-based attacks toward her, making sure to not get close to her. He was overwhelming her, but he had to make sure to not get close or else he would die. As Naobito rushed toward Jogo, the cursed spirit smiled before he rushed toward the old man with fire in his hands. As Naobito tried to touch Jogo in order to freeze him into a frame, Jogo was one step ahead. As soon as the old man's hand was about to touch him, an ember insect was seen behind him. The second Jogo was touched and thus frozen into a frame. The old man was turned into a fried crispy chicken wing. 2 down, Jogo said before looking at the 2 women left on the battlefield. Guess he will go for the weaker one first. In an instant, Jogo appeared in front of Nobara before giving her the same treatment as Nanami. As Nobara started to burn, Jogo rushed toward Maki and started using hits and run tactics. He would kill her. The second she showed a sign of weakness, Jogo rushed toward her aiming to kill her, but as soon as he got within distance, a shadowy hand grabbed him before tossing him through several buildings. The shadowy figure slowly walked toward Nobara before putting the fire out and feeding her something from a red vial. He did the same to Maki before it looked at the cursed spirit that was about to regenerate. For daring to raise your hands on my liege, Queen Malgrim said before pulling out an axe. For that sin you shall die. Malgrim then rushed toward Jogo. Malgrim, the mysterious figure with a shadowy aura, swung his axe with incredible speed and precision. The strikes were aimed at Jogo, who, despite his attempts to dodge, found himself in a relentless barrage. The clash of metal against the fiery essence of Jogo's cursed spirit form echoed through the area.